Time for a little log scale update for IWM and the ARK ETF. So I wanted to just compare these two, and the IWM looks like it's kind of ready to break out sooner than the ARK ETF is. So first, I have the Gann square pulled up for IWM, and just want to show you how symmetrical it has been. So first of all, the orange level, very important. During the financial crisis, it collapsed, but then went right back to the orange level. And then we can see this 45-degree angle just ride support all the way up. Besides 2020 during COVID, it just back tested the bottom blue arc perfectly. Like everything is just symmetrical, so perfectly symmetrical, right? With these back tests. And then the blue level is next, and we just flipped the blue level back to support. It tried to break support back in early 2021 and 2022, but did not succeed. Then it flipped it to resistance, and we can see right now that resistance is once, twice, three times was resistance. Then we went back below the 45 just a little bit, but now it's on top of this blue level once again, trying to flip it to support, and it looks like it's going to succeed this time because of the confluence of the 45-degree angle and this blue level at the same time, which is going to add more support for it to continue higher and higher. And where is the next level? Well, up here, the next level, if depending on time, if it's maybe around election time or so, October or November, that could be around $240 for the IWM. And then a little bit higher could be about 290, or if it's quicker in time, maybe even 300. We don't even know, right? So this level is really looking good for support. And if we put on the confluence of the Ichimoku here, we can basically see that it's above everything now, right? It closed the week last week 100% bullish on the Ichimoku, above the conversion, above the baseline, and the cloud is green, everything, right? It's really, really looking good for a continuation higher now. So it looks like just a matter of time before it breaks this previous high, then this previous high. And once it starts closing candles above the 211.88 right here from this high, then it'll make its way up to that 240 level, probably later on this year, right? And I want to just show you some confluence that we've seen before in the past, right? So going back in time here, we can see that everything is kind of repeating itself, right? So what we see in this zone right here is similar to what we see in this zone right here, right? Pretty similar, where we see it break above, go back down, go fight the level again as resistance and support, just like here, went above, go back down to that 45, fight the resistance above with that line, to only next shoot above to the arc, to the top arc, and then continue higher and higher. So this trend right here and right here is looking very, very similar for a continuation higher into the arcs right up here, just like we saw back in 2013. So is history repeating itself? Well, it kind of looks like it right now. It's very, very, very similar with these levels, right? Well, with that said, where does the next level sit? Well, the next level sits right up here at 480, almost exactly 481 maybe. And if the trend continues, if this 45-degree angle continues to hold as support, then that would be maybe like in 2035, 2036 or so for that 480 price. But things could explode a lot sooner and then get there sooner, then come back down and then go back up like we've seen in the past, right? So we could see this 480 level probably before 2030. So we'll see. We'll see how things play out, but things are eerily similar with these two scenarios right here. Now let's go check out ARK. So now I have the ARK Innovation ETF pulled up here, and it's still very similar, not very similar, but it's very symmetrical to everything else, right? Once price found its all-time high here at the ARK exactly, then it came down, tested levels, and lost support one at a time. And you can see when things collapsed, and things collapsed when this ARK, this bottom ARK, just lost support with that bearish engulfing candle right there. It was a how big of it? Yeah, it was a 10% down weekly candle. Then it just collapsed ever since, right? we can see how well GAN predicts tops because right here, and then once it loses levels, it just signals things are going to collapse. And sure enough, it went down to the next support level where it tried to flip it back to support, but it failed. And when things fail, they gravitate to the next support level, which was this angle here. And this angle has been holding as support ever since 2022, even though it dipped below a few times. But the overall trend is support, 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 and probably support in the future, right? But we haven't tested it as support yet. So my thought process is it's probably going to go down there and test support maybe one more time before things take off. And where in time does that really meet? Well, if we go out in time on the arc, we can go into right here, maybe November of 2024. What do you know? That's around election time. So election time, we can just see arc trend sideways to down until it hits this support level right here in November, or maybe a little bit sooner. It could wick through sooner. And then by that time, it should be enough confirmation for price to continue up to the blue level, which would be in the 70s, and then ultimately back to this major resistance level, the $106 range, where you can see it was once resistance, tried to keep it as support twice, but then lost it, right? So this next level is going to be very, very important, very significant for ARK. So it just looks like we got to get through the summer and into the early fall before price of ARK will probably start to move higher and higher and higher into the 60s, into the 70s, and ultimately into the 100s later next year or into 2026, right? So the future is looking bright yet, but it's still just not bullish enough for this explosive move higher. It's not bullish enough like the IWM chart looks, right? So let's put on the Ichimoku cloud here, and we can see more confluence, right? That this bottom of the Ichimoku, we look like we're going to lose the cloud soon. So let's zoom in a little bit. Next week, we'll probably lose the cloud, which means it'll probably drift lower, slower and slower towards election time. And then by that time, it'll have enough energy to build its way higher, right? So this is what it's looking like for ARK. And where are the moving averages for ARK right now? So yeah, we do have the 100 week down there around 42.21. So if we go slowly through time, that'll probably just slowly drift a little bit that way as well. So all the confluences are showing that it's not really ready to explode yet because of this resistance of the cloud, the resistance of the 50 week, the resistance of the baseline up here. It's going to keep it down for some time, right? So we need to wait, just have some patience. But once this angle gets hit, whether it's election time or sooner, I think that'll be an awesome buying opportunity, and I'll keep you guys posted when that happens, because once that happens, there'll be an explosive move higher and higher. But will it hit exactly? It could do the same thing here where it goes below a little bit too, back into the 30s, right? It's a possibility, so we need to keep that in mind. But either way, around this level right here from 40 all the way up to 42, or even down in the 30s, it's going to be a great buying opportunity to have this explosive move higher eventually later this year up into the 60s and 70s.